Hi, and welcome to Book Huddle. I'm your host, Karen Reeder. Today I have Emily Brink with us. She is with the Paper Pie Company, and we're going to talk about today using the Usbourne book line to get kids reading. And so tell me, Emily, first of all, why did you get into Paper Pie?
That's kind of a loaded question. I did a party for a friend and I fell in love with the books and I just wanted to spread them around. You know, they have been so beneficial to me and my family. They're not just like storybooks either. Right. There's the nonfiction books are incredible. They
Absolutely.
have, yes.
Especially these nonfiction for the earlier readers. Our family loves them.
Yeah, we have, my first party, I got 2 sets of the nonfiction books. I got the history ones and the animal ones, and my kids just absolutely adore them. They read like stories. I mean, we have the big Costco Sam's Club books about all of the animals and things, but they're so hard to read.
But the images are beautiful, and we've got illustrated and then also photo kind of images.
Yes, and they read like a story.
Yes.
But they're so informative, and I love that so much. One thing that, like, we've fallen more and more in love with the products the more we get, right?
Right. Yes.
But one thing that we're doing right now is they have escape room books.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yes, they have escape room books, and so after dinner we try to do like a level of the escape room every night, and instead of doing screens. Fun. And so, oh my gosh, it's just been so much fun to do.
I'm gonna have to get something like that.
Oh, everyone should
like
get
that.
some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So, and my daughter has dyslexia.
Okay.
We have a line of books specifically for kids with dyslexia.
Excellent.
And part of it is
what is it called?
So School of Monsters.
Okay.
Also Billy B. Brown and Hey Jack. They're all by Sally Rippin.
Right. I have a Hey Jack.
She even has written a book for adults. It's the only book we have specifically for adults called Wild Things. Mm-hmm. And it's about raising kids with dyslexia and ADHD. Okay. So anything Sally Rippin is just incredible. But also finding books that she liked to read and was willing to read. And those are the fairy ponies and the fairy unicorns.
I've got some of that.
She went from reading 90 words per minute to 130 in 3 months.
Wow.
So
that's excellent.
That's part of the reason I just keep going, is because it's helped my family so much. And one of the things that I'm going to show today, my 6-year-old used to hate me reading to him.
Right.
He couldn't stand it. And then we got the My First Reading Library, which I'm going to talk about here.
All right, well, let's break it out, because that's one of the things I love. I have a few different things that I like for teaching my kids to read. I taught all my kids to read, but I love My Very First Reading Library. I've got mine up there on my shelf. So tell me about it, how you use this series of books for teaching kids to read.
Okay, mine are a little bit out of order because we use this every single day. And so it starts with Pirate Pat. So there's the very first reading, and it gets a little bit more advanced. But what I love about this is that it's team reading. So the more advanced reader reads over here, and then the beginning reader reads over here. And it's very, very basic. And as it goes on, it gets a little bit harder, like sit, Sam, sit.
Right.
But it is very, very basic. And it's team reading. You're reading together.
Which my kids love that.
Yes. You're taking turns. So like there's that kind of like social etiquette with it too. And in the back, there are these picture puzzles. You put it together in order. So sequencing and...
May I?
Oh, absolutely. And then choose the right word, like who is this? This is Sam, and what this is, and all of that. So, recall and so many awesome things in this.
And then the puzzles aren't always the same every single book. So a lot of times similar and repeat. And one thing that I like to point out is before I even start. So I started this with one of my preschool students who I have the 3 and 4 year olds actually this year. And so I only have one who's ready to read, but she is so excited. And so we go to the back first and we practice each sound and review the sounds before we start reading to get her ready to review what she will be reading. And I love that. Another thing that I love is how beautiful are these, right? These beautiful pictures. And I do love Bob books. I use them. Nothing against Bob books, but they are like black and white and red or purple. Like, you know, it's a single color. I think there's value in them. Don't get me wrong. But look at these gorgeous pictures. The kids love it. They love the interaction and things.
I have Bob books too. That's what I was beginning with my kids. I love the teen reading aspect of that.
Yes.
I love Bob books. They helped me a ton. But I feel like this is just different.
Right.
It's a completely different thing.
And that's me. I have 3 tools I use, and this is one of them, Bob, and then another one.
So this is the end of the very beginning readers. And it is more advanced. Like, I would say, like, more towards the end of kindergarten,
Right.
even. This is number 12.
Okay.
I think there's 14. But this is, they start to read the dialogue.
Right.
And it's bigger, it's more clear. And anyway, like, the beautiful pictures that she was saying. And then it still has the sequencing and the puzzles and all of that in the back.
And I like, can you show the view how these books are broken into colors? So we've got, you start with green and then go purple and orange. And so you know what you need to be getting. And then no harm once you get to orange and doing a little review and going backwards.
Mm-hmm. My older kids still read these every day for stories like this, The Phoenix and the Dragon.
Yes.
It's a Chinese myth, and it's put very simply. The text is big. This is when they're starting to read by themselves. And not super simple, a little bit more advanced, a little bit more challenging. But again, the illustrations are just absolutely lovely. And it infuses some culture in there too.
Beautiful.
Because they're learning about different myths, and
And kids are so into the myths right now.
they are.
For sure.
There's a King Midas one. There's
wonderful.
This different fables and things. Like this one, The Fox and the Crow.
Yes.
And again, they still have these puzzles in the back. It just gets more advanced the longer you go. So,
Wonderful. What other resources does Usbourne have?
So one of the things that we had before my first reading library is the complete book of Farmyard Tales. And this book, it's more like a warm blanket. Like, you go home and your mom made your favorite casserole. Like, this is what this feels like.
Right.
And there's something so simplistic and I don't know. Primal's not the right word, but like just that feeling, like the very beginning feelings. And
I don't know, like a comfort food, what you were
yes,
saying.
that's exactly what this
book.
is.
It's
It
a
is.
comfort book.
It has the whole map of Applewood Farm
Cute.
and the surrounding farms. And this does now have a QR code. It used to have a CD, but most people don't even have CD players anymore. Can you believe that? And why this was a beginning book is because you can read just the top line and it makes sense. And as you get more advanced in reading, you read the bottom of the pages too. And so this is Apple Tree Farm. On the farm, there are 6 pigs. It is time for breakfast. Or you can read This is Apple Tree Farm. This is Mrs. Boot, the farmer. She has 2 children called Poppy and Sam, and a dog called Rusty.
So you can do both. It's not like one or the other.
Nope,
so you
do
can
both.
team read again.
Yes.
They could read the top.
You could absolutely team read again.
Excellent.
It's just not as simplistic, and the phonics aren't a priority in it. Still really good. I would say it's a good addition to my first reading library because it's comforting for one. And it does have the more simple in the beginning. And so your kids can just read this.
Right.
If they want to read on their own. And with the
Wonderful.
QR
and
code.
it'll make sense. The story will make sense.
The story will make sense whether you read both or just one.
Perfect.
Sometimes, so reading to kids, we can all agree on is super important. And sometimes we don't always have time before bed. Like it's way past bedtime. Sometimes I still don't read to my kids before bed because it's like a half hour past bedtime. We've all been there.
Yes.
But if you just read the top, it's like a minute.
The story goes quicker.
It's like a minute. It's and that's part of the reason.
And there's multiple stories within that book.
Yes, there are. I think there's at least 20 in here.
Wonderful.
And this is $24.99. It's honestly, it's the best. But like these books as well, These are super quick for bedtime. My older kids, my 11-year-old and my 9-year-old, ask for these books all the time.
Nice.
So, and that's part of the reason they're all over my house is because they are read constantly, not just by my 6-year-old.
Excellent.
So, another thing that we've always known is important, this is part of the Usbourne Phonics Series. This is Giraffe in the Bath and Other Tales. So, this has 6 stories in it, and you can buy each of these separately. But I have the anthology. Oh, there's actually, there are 6. So there's Giraffe in the Bath, Chimp with a Limp, Spider in a Glider, Hyena Ballerina, Seal at the Wheel, and Ape's Great Escape. So they all the titles all rhyme. There's more subtle rhyming in this, but it picks up on that phonics.
Great.
And that it also has about phonics and phonemic awareness.
Well, and that's so many people, like I have a degree in elementary education, but so many parents don't know how to teach their kids.
Yeah.
So having these skills told to them, here's what you're going to do with this book.
And here's why that's important. But Giraffe in the Bath, and let's see. She tugs up thick weeds, then digs a big border and plants leafy trees. So it's very, very subtle in there. She trots up the path. Now I'm grubby and muddy. I need a hot bath. So it's not like immediate rhyming, but it's in there, which is also important for kids to pick up.
Yes.
This has puzzles
Wonderful.
all in the very
Love
back. And again, these are great quick reads for bedtime when you just need something super fast. And they're also just fun to read. This one also has a QR code. So you can buy each of these separately, or you can buy them at the anthology. For little readers, I do recommend like the smaller books. But
it's easier to hold and not
it is.
break the book.
For budgetary
That's why I prefer the
reasons,
separate books.
Yeah, for budgetary reasons, this is an amazing deal. Because the books are $7 a piece. This is $14.99. So you kind of yeah. So
for sure,
there are definitely benefits to both.
Excellent.
And I wanted to show, this is something that my older kids love, but still sometimes kids don't like to read when there's not pictures.
All right, so we've got graphic novels, and
We've got graphic novels.
People asking me just recently, somebody that recently got a job at the library, what's the deal with graphic novels? And I'm like, you really just got to embrace it. Because above all, I won't go into it, there's other videos about this, but if nothing else, it's getting children to love reading, and that's what we're really trying for.
What I love about the Usbourne graphic novel series is that it's classic literature.
Yes.
And I still sometimes have a hard time reading classic literature. I have ADHD myself, and sometimes I get so lost, or my brain goes squirrel.
Right. And I've never even read Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is this? And they're reading the stuff that wouldn't otherwise be exposed to.
And we have the Odyssey, we have Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes graphic novels, I love it.
We have Alice in Wonderland. We have, did I say the Odyssey?
Yeah, you said the Odyssey, okay.
We have the Three Musketeers. We have Thor. We have so many amazing classic literature, classic stories, classic myths. And it teaches kids about them. Now, we keep mentioning how beautiful the illustrations are. Look at that.
Wow, right?
Look at that. They're so
I love it.
lovely.
And then the next pages are set up more traditional graphic.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, there we go. More of
So
the comic
sequencing
strip kind of
in
style.
the
Okay.
graphic novels, context clues.
Well, and you've got pretty good higher level vocabulary here. It's not super simple, because a lot of times people assume it's just so simple because there's not very many words. But also, like another thing, this is a big book, Jason and the Argonauts. It's a bigger story, right? You put a big story into this, kids have got to piece things together through pictures and what's not said. They've got to read between the lines and figure out what's not being said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not that big plots are messing. I just...
No, but it also, it kind of makes it cool again, too.
Right.
And, sometimes we don't give our kids enough credit, but sometimes they're just overwhelmed by a bunch of words on a page.
Right.
And this helps break that up and helps their brains. I mean, because color is important for growing brains.
Oh, I think so.
And this has so much of it.
Absolutely.
So, and at the end, it goes into a little bit more depth what the story is about.
Excellent.
One thing that I do love about Usbourne Books, and some people aren't always in love with it, but they make it age appropriate for children.
Right.
Because Greek mythology can be really graphic and really kind of explicit sometimes.
Yes.
But they tell them in a way that they're not taking away from the story.
Wonderful.
But you still feel good about telling your kids about it. I mean, I think we should all have conversations with our kids, but sometimes when you're reading a story, you don't want to have that conversation. So, right. Yeah. So,
and if you wanted to, you could go pull out the larger story and go from there. But
and we do have books for those conversations too. But
yes,
you know, there's a time and a place, and sometimes when you're just reading with your kids, you don't necessarily want that. So.
Excellent. All right. What else do you have to share with us?
I don't have it. I have it across the room, but I'm just going to grab one of yours. The human body one is amazing. We're going to do that one. So, so you asked me why I became a paper pie consultant. These books are like 70% of the reason I became a paper pie consultant, because they are the coolest thing I have ever seen. So with the Shine a Light books, you read about it, and then you shine a flashlight underneath. So a new person is waiting to be born. Can you see here? Shine a flashlight and you can see a baby.
Yeah.
And that's honestly one of my favorite pages. These are so much fun. It's a nonfiction book told in story form, and kids will remember shining the flashlight underneath to see the pictures. What's really cool is that this month in March of 2024, we are having, if you go to Chick-fil-A,
nice,
you can get a Shine a Light book with the kids meals this month.
Fun.
So
I've got Usbourne Books from Chick-fil-A before.
I saw that. I saw one over there. Just right over there. Yes, on the train. And they are so much fun. It's for Read Across America Month.
Yay! We do love Read Across America.
And that's why Chick-fil-A is doing the Shine a Light books. They are fun, they're engaging.
Yes.
It's kind of a bonding experience, like built into this book.
Well, and it brings something else to the story.
Yes.
Because when you use something with your hands, you're engaging a different part of the brain. Mm-hmm. When you have movement in reading, it really adds more to the reading experience, and it helps cement it into the brain. It builds on higher learning. There are
different ways of learning for every child. And so sometimes they're more kinesthetic, sometimes they're more action oriented. And I love that there are so many ways to read.
Yes.
I should have brought the book, All the Wonderful Ways to Read. You would love that one. But yeah, it kind of hits on that there are so many different ways to read and to love reading. But these are just great ways to engage readers, to get them wanting to read more, and to get them reading in the first place.
Right, which I love. That's the goal here, is to get kids loving to read and reading, having a desire for it right there. So, Emily, every one of my book huddles, I love to ask my guest, what is a favorite children's book?
2.
You may have 2, I will allow it.
Okay. I have to shout out a paper pie book. It's called Beast Feast. And it's by Emma Yarlett. She has very innovative books. She usually has books within books.
Oh yeah.
And she's most known for Nibbles, the book monster.
Oh yes, we've got Nibbles.
And there she has a new series on Netflix. A new movie on Netflix. And Beast Feast reminds me a lot of my dad, because he would just name people random things. And it's about a beast who catches a little boy, and he's going to cook him for dinner. And he goes, "You are dinner." And the little boy says, "No, I'm not," says dinner. And throughout the entire book, his name is Dinner.
This is Dinner.
And something about that just speaks to me and my dad, and it reminds me of very fond memories. He would name everyone the craziest nicknames. And I could see him calling one of my little boys Dinner.
Yeah.
Because of that book.
Because he would do it.
Also, speaking of my dad, Frog and Toad.
Frog and Toad's one of my very favorite. I love Frog and Toad.
My dad, I have a recording of him reading Frog and Toad. He did Southern Voices with Frog and Toad.
So fun.
And he used to come to the elementary school every single year and read Frog and Toad to kids in the library or in the classrooms. And because
fun.
he had the best voices for
Yes.
it. The absolute best. And to this day, my brother was around me and I had gotten a new prescription and I get the pill out and it was square. And I'm like, this pill is square. And he goes, my button was round. We both said it at the exact same time. And that's from Frog and Toad. And just that, my heart, I remember my dad reading it to me frequently, like all the time. He worked nights.
Right.
So he wasn't around for bedtime an awful lot. But when he was off, he would read me Frog and Toad. So.
Okay, here's what I'm loving. Here we've got Emily. She's got her own kids, but her heart is connecting and she's loving these memories that she had as a child. This is why we're reading to our kids now, is to make these bonding memories, well, also to help them have a love for reading. That's really why. But, having these bonding moments, this is so important for our children. And what a wonderful thing that we are reading to them at home and helping them develop a love of reading because we love it. Your dad loved it. He loved doing those voices.
And my brother and I are still connecting over it 30 years later.
That's so awesome. I love it. All right, well, I will have in the description below the link to Emily's site so that you can check out her specials.
Yes. For anyone that mentions this podcast, if you host a party with me, I will let you get My First Reading Library. It's normally $80 for $30.
Ooh, that's awesome. You gotta have My First Reading Library. That is
if you host
deal.
a party with me, you can get it for $30.
Excellent. That's one to have on your shelf. I've had so many friends borrow it as they're reading with their kids, and I'm like, if you're gonna have multiple kids, you just need to have this.
Yes, this is something you want to keep for your grandchildren.
Yes, it's one that will be useful forever, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So check it out. Click on the link. Check out the books. There's so many great ones. As I'm remembering, one of my favorites, Tell the Two Beasts. Usbourne's all over in my room on the other shelf. Love Usbourne. Thank you, Emily, for joining us today.
Thank you for letting me come.
All right. Bye.